Good morning, Iris USA channel. I am Iris's husband, and one of my hobbies is restoring old cast iron pans. Here we have what you need to do a basic restoration on a pan that looks like this. Okay, this is the seasoning from the old days. This is the rust that's come through the seasoning, and that's a spider. We have here two Wagner pans that are all made in USA. These are from the 60s because they have made in USA on them, and they are unmarked. They're unmarked Wagners. So we're going to set these aside for now, and we are going to look at these two. This is a small logo Griswold. It's in pretty rough shape. This is also a Griswold. It's a large logo, and that's possibly a slant. So looking at 1950s, and if I remember right, 1920, 1930s. These pans are considerably lighter than the new ones, and they do a great job cooking. And matter of fact, we use ours daily. You can see on our wall here. What you do first is get as much of the loose crud off of here as you can, which we're going to do with just this right here. You don't want to use the metal on there when you start getting into actually finishing them out, but in the beginning they'll do a great job on bringing the scale loose. Use different percentages of vinegar mixed with water to take rust off. And when we get done, we're going to bag these in a lye solution to take off any of the carbon or any of the food particles that have been on here, the seasoning from the old days. So I'm going to give this a scrub, and then we'll come back to it in a little while. Griswolds have a nice edge on them right here, a little lip. The seasoning builds up. You don't even see that lip anymore, but it gives you a good idea of how far down you are, how thick the seasoning is when you go to clean them, that you can feel it when you're cleaning them up. What we're doing here is just scratching through the seasoning so the lye can get up underneath it and pull this off easier. Right here, there's not much left here. Okay, so we're going to let this one, you can actually see it. I don't know if you can see it in the video or not. It's actually flash rusting across here as the water comes off, and that's a good sign. It means we're down to the metal in that part of the pan. Set it aside for a minute. And we'll do the same thing on this one. Then we'll have an idea of what we're actually working with. It's a good time to check for cracks, sand shifts, which occurred when they made the pan. They don't affect the value as much, but they add a little interesting look to the pan. The logos get mixed up, and they were a lot of times recast or redone because they weren't just there. We have a possible crack on this one. We're going to look at it closer. I'll show you a trick for checking for cracks kind of in a hurry when you're at the flea market. You can check this one, and I've wiped it off, so it is not a crack. It is just some crud that's up on here more. It could actually be like a hair underneath the seasoning. But if you take your pan and listen at it, get a nice little ring. That's good. A little bit of a ring. That's better. If it's got a crack in it, you lose all of that. Both of these pans sit very flat, which is good. They're usually on a flat top range if you want to, as long as you don't slam it down. What we're doing is taking off the crust, the crud, and the rust on here. And with these two, we are going to start by putting them into a lye solution. Yellow Can Easy Off or oven cleaner is aerosolized lye. I'm stumbling over that word a little bit. And lye is the reason that you don't want to use soap on these when you clean them. But most soap has had the lye taken out, but it's not actually soap if it didn't have a lye in it to begin with. It's kind of what makes it soap. But most of it's taken out, so you can actually put a little bit of dishwashing cleaner in these when you're cleaning them, but you don't really need to. We'll go over that later. Taking off this, the more of this you get off in the first, the less work the lye has to do and the less length of time it takes to do it. Let's rinse it one more time. You now see the logo. We are back. Today we have scrubbed them down, taken all the surface crud off of them that we can, and we are getting ready to spray the lye, which is the Yellow Can Easy Off brand or Yellow Can oven cleaner. It's an aerosolized lye. What we're going to do, make sure the window's open, got plenty of ventilation, and you're going to put it on nice and thick. And you'll see it reacting with the carbon buildup. You can hear it. Cold out today, so it's not grabbing quite as nicely as it could. So do it again later. Then we drop that one into a black or a dark colored bag. The reason is you want it to get as hot as possible. We're going to put these out in the sun and let them sit for a few days as the lye does its job. This won't do anything for the rust, but it will take all of the carbon buildup, all of the biological buildup that's on here off. So all the old food particles, things like that will come off. Again, we're doing, in this pile we have three, leave it open, we have three vintage Griswold pens and two vintage Wagners. We have two of the Griswolds from the 20s. One of them is from in the late 40s, early 50s, up to 57. They're making those. You can tell the dates by the logos, and there are a couple of books out that give you some information about what to look for. This one is actually clean enough. We don't really need to do anything with this one. This one is a vinegar. We're going to put vinegar on that one and it's ready to season. This one has some pitting in here. It's but it's been stripped and it could be re-seasoned from this point, but we're going to hit it one more time with this, mostly because this pan's worth about $100 if you clean it up, so we're going to make it nice and pretty. My experience has found that the Easy Off brand works the best. This is a cheap brand that I had that I use for here and there. After you get all of them done in the bag, I spray the handles afterwards and make sure anything the bag touches and mixed up is sprayed. Then you want to bag them up, and we'll set these outside in the sun and leave them there on a good hot day, at least 3 days. These aren't really that bad. I'm gonna leave them outside about a week on the porch in a little bucket I have out there, so nobody can get into it and they'll seal up. And then we'll take them out and we'll show you that, pick up on and add to the video when we do that. Thank you very much. Welcome back to Iris Channel USA Pan Restoration. These are the ones that we put in the lye bag the other day. We've been in there about a week, and we're going to wash them off in cold water and see how much of the crud has come off of these. As you can see, this one was pretty cruddy. Now it's all rusty on the inside, which is good. It means all this finish has been taken off, and we're down to nice bare metal on the back side. So we're going to stop the lye process with the cold water. We're going to rinse all of these out, and then we're going to look at them again and give them a good scrub. This one, oh, look at this. This is might be ready. We might be ready to clean this one up. Go ahead and season it. Not too worried about them rusting right this second, or sitting in this with, because we're going to be back at in just a minute. Not much left on here. This one, probably a good scrub. If you look close, you can see where it bubbled up right here. So that'll be easier to scrub off. And we got one more. And this one's definitely going back into the lye, as it was the thickest. A lot of it's off on the back. And take a look here, how much easier it comes off than it did before. And look at that Griswold logo coming out. So we're going to rebath this one again and put it back in there. So we're just going to set this one back off to the side, and we're going to work on these. In the meantime, we have a couple other ones to show you today. Everybody hears about Wagner's and Griswold. Don't hear much about the stuff that goes along with it. This is a trivet. Keep the meat from scorching the bottom of a Dutch oven or something. This one's not new, but it's not super old either. It's probably 30 years old, judging from the rest of the stuff that was in the pile. It's made by Lodge, and I can usually sell these for about $20 cleaned up. Paid $2 for this at a flea market the other day. Right here, this is an 8 and a diamond, and Chicago Hardware and Piqua, as I understand it, did that. I don't know which one this is, but this is not a common pan around here. This one's actually just been restored. It needs to have more seasoning put on it. This one here, it's a Dixie Foundry out of Cleveland, Tennessee. This is a fairly rare pan. This one's in this is a good user shape. It's got a lot of pitting in it. It's been redone. It's going to take a while before it smooths out. It was never as smooth as some of the other pans, but it is a pretty rare pan. All right, we are going to scrub these down. I'm going to work on that, and then we'll come back in and I'll show you how to put the finish on a couple of them, and we'll put them into the oven and start to season. You want to put just enough oil in there so it looks wet, but you can't really wipe it out. There's no standing. So right now this is still a little much, but it'll come out. It'll burn off and drip down, melt out. What it's going to do is it'll smoke a little bit as it turns to carbon, and that's what makes the black. The reason I put it on a little bit thicker on this one is this pan did have a few pits in it. Thing to remember: lay it on there as clean as you can, and put a pan underneath it to catch any drippings that come down.